Welcome to the FWOT Show. I'm Rob Steele, that's Jesus Jones in the background, and this is that mid-Monday show that lets you know it's not just you. The world has actually lost its damn mind. Case in point, this past week, our clocks were sprung forward the way you're supposed to for daylight savings, but unfortunately we seem to have sprung it forward to the next ice age. What the hell happened? Oh, wait. Could it be global climate change? Nah, that can't be it, because Republicans don't believe in it. They believe in Jesus, but not global climate change, one of which you can actually feel and see the effects of. Here's a hint. It's not Jesus. I apologize for getting off on a bit of a religious rant at the beginning of the show. I'm just really frustrated with the way that some orange-faced muffin is running the country. So did you hear about the budget put forth by Face Von Clownstick? Yeah, I'm talking about the president, if you really think he is. His first budget request to Congress included massive cuts to the National Institutes of Health and the Department of Energy. So he wants us to be less healthy and not have any energy to run anything. Does this sound like something that a president should be doing? Does this make any sense to anyone other than him? What an absolute ass clown. And it's not just those that he's trying to kill off. He's trying to kill Meals on Wheels. Seriously, this is a project that helps people who can't get to food get food, like elderly people and veterans. This is a program that feeds about 1 million people a day. People make up the country. How exactly does killing this off put America first? It's killing America first. And incidentally, I broke out this piece of technology earlier called a calculator. Something that apparently people in Washington could use, because I don't think they've got one. And I did a little bit of this thing called math, which I realize is something that he doesn't want us to do because he's cut education as well and put a Muppet in charge of the whole damn thing, but I digress. Mathematically speaking, if this so-called First Lady lived in the White House for just 10 days, this government could save enough money to fund Meals on Wheels for a year. Yeah, a year. You want another place to get money from? Why don't you take the money from National Security Advisor, I guess it's former now, Michael Flynn, the guy who received over $56,000 for work done during the presidential race. For who? Oh, that would be 2 Russian firms and a Kremlin-backed news outlet, because there are no ties with Russia at all, except all of them. They're there. Look, evidence. Who knew? Except everyone. Seriously. Oh, by the way, they're still trying to do the travel ban thing, which, as we all know, is unconstitutional. And by all of us, I mean those of us with brains. So in response to the travel ban that was turned down by a federal judge in Hawaii, the GOP has decided to boycott Hawaii. Seriously. If you're Republican, ooh, no Hawaiian vacation for you. Because, yeah, you know, if all the other states do this, where the hell are you guys going to go? Seriously, I just thought I'd ask, did you think this? Oh, I'm sorry. I answered my own question right there. Did they think? The answer is no. No, they did not. But while I'm on the subject of the travel ban, the Muslim ban, it's a Muslim ban. It's not a travel ban. It's a Muslim ban. Wouldn't a Muslim ban of any kind actually be a recruitment tool that ISIS could use? Look at America. They don't want you here, but we want you over here. Come join ISIS. And isn't that exactly what the travel ban is supposed to prevent? And yet, from the only logical standpoint, it can do nothing but help. So, gee, thank you, Trump administration. I feel much safer now that we have our own ISIS recruitment plan. And this, of course, led to things like what happened last week on St. Patrick's Day, the so-called Irish holiday, which they don't celebrate near as much as we do. But Prime Minister Edna Kenny came to the United States and talked about St. Patrick, who himself was an immigrant, and how a lot of immigrants in America are Irish. And the people in New York go, duh. He said, and I'll quote here, Ireland came to America because, deprived of liberty, deprived of opportunity, of safety, and even food itself, the Irish believed, for 4 decades before Lady Liberty lifted her lamp, we were the wretched refuge on the teeming shore. We believed in the shelter of America, in the compassion of America, in the opportunity of America. And who did he say this standing next to? Donald Trump. And how much of it looked like it went straight through his ears, bounced around a bit, and came out his nose? That would be all of it. Certifiably clue-free. That's not a label you want to put on your president. Trump himself then took the microphone, which is always a bad idea. At least he didn't tweet this. Of course, it's over 140 characters, so it never would have worked. Trump said, as we stand together with our Irish friends, I'm reminded of that proverb. And this is a good one. This is one I like. I've heard it for many years, and I love it. Always remember to forget the friends that proved untrue, but never forget to remember those who have stuck by you. Now, the problem is, the people who were listening to this in Ireland and the Irish in attendance all kind of went, hang on a minute, that's not an Irish proverb. Trump said it was an Irish proverb. The people in Ireland said, no, it's not an Irish proverb. Neither did the author of that particular poem. The author, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name in advance, was a man named Al-Bashir Adam Al-Hassan. He's a Nigerian banker who wrote it in college and posted it on the internet 10 years ago, and it floated around because it is a nice saying, but it's not Irish, which doesn't bode well for our president. But then again, so many things these days don't. Did you see the meeting he had last week with Angela Merkel? Yeah, the leader of Germany and a lot of Europe, really. The meeting ended with Donald Trump refusing to shake her hand. Near as I can tell, it's because he's a dick. I don't think there really is another reason for it. But it got me to thinking, perhaps Angela Merkel, who, like I said, in charge of Germany, but also leads Europe, a vast majority of Europe, which is made up of multiple countries, and leading them in the right direction as far as healthcare, energy, helping destroy poverty, doing good things, doing Christian things. Spectacular. Maybe we could put her in charge of our country too. Did you know, by the way, just to throw this out, she actually earned, wasn't given, earned her doctorate in physical chemistry. Donald Trump, conversely, this past week misspelled the word tap. I'll just let you think about that for, I don't know, a few seconds while I play a sound effect and signifying we're moving on to another subject. Good news, kind of, if you think about it. Well, okay, it's good news for everyone except former North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory. Pat McCrory is, as I said, the former governor, and he's having a problem right now. He can't get a job because he tried to pass this law that was so anti-trans anything, anti-LGBT, pretty much anti-human if you think about it too much, and now he's been labeled a bigot and complaining that he can't get a job. He said the only reason he tried to pass that law was because of his Christian values, like do unto others as you would have, oh wait, they are doing unto you, Pat. Perhaps you should have thought of that before, but you didn't, 'cause you're a twit. I hear this a lot lately. Christian values, and yet they're not people who follow their own Christian values. How about State Senator Ralph Shorty, who looks a bit tall to be called Shorty, but I'll leave that alone. He's not with the Oklahoma Senate anymore. A resolution passed unanimously that suspended what I'm told is nearly all his privileges. It should be all of his privileges, because he was engaging in child prostitution. Where in the Bible does it say child prostitution is a good thing? This is a guy who claims he's pro-family values, pro-Christian, against trans anything. He's even pro-gun. But he's also pro-child prostitution. Really? Is that the way Christ would do it? Speaking of being pro-gun, news from the world of Fox News, where Sean Hannity was revealed this week to have once pulled a gun on a forensic psychologist on his show. Hannity claims, I've been trained all my life in how to use a gun and it wasn't loaded, blah, 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 blah. You know, it doesn't matter. You pulled a gun on somebody. You don't do that and stay out of jail. Unless you're on Fox News. Then I suppose, hey, he's white, it's okay. Wonder what would have happened if a black guy did that on Fox News. First off, I don't think there are any black people on Fox News. Second, perhaps we would get what happened with Snoop Dogg this week. The rapper released a video in which there is a clown who I'm told looks like Donald Trump. I actually think it just looks like Donald Trump, but I'm told it's a clown dressed as Donald Trump. Whatever. Snoop Dogg pulled a gun and shot him with one of those flag guns. You know, pull the trigger and it goes bang on a little flag. Yeah, one of those. Fox News collectively wet itself and said, how could you possibly do that? Oh my God, Snoop is evil. No, Snoop is just kind of expressing himself. But of course, the clown in charge, El Trumpo himself, took to Snoop on Twitter and said, oh, how horrible Snoop Dogg is. How could he do such a thing to the president? Mind you, Trump hasn't said about all the anti-Semitic or racist attacks that have happened since he's taken office. But Snoop Dogg, ooh, can't have that. Incidentally, does anyone else remember when Ted Nugent threatened to actually shoot the real President Obama with a real machine gun? And do you also recall the Republicans didn't say a goddamn thing about it? Yeah, I remember that too. A question was posed last week from Rand Paul, who doesn't seem to understand the concept of math. He wanted to know why Bernie Sanders doesn't pay as much in taxes as Donald Trump. Now, this raises two questions for me. One, how does he know how much Donald Trump pays in taxes if the taxes haven't been released still, the Rachel Maddow thing notwithstanding? And two, does he not realize that Bernie Sanders makes very little money, comparatively speaking? If you don't make as much, you don't pay as much in taxes. That's how taxes work. Of course, this is still the group that cut $43 million from the Coast Guard budget. We need to make sure immigrants don't come into the country illegally. Who stops most of them? That would be the Coast Guard as they watch them come in on the boats. And we cut $43 million from the Coast Guard budget. Does that make sense? Yes, just about as much as spending $60 million on golf since he started being president. Incidentally, how the fuck do you spend that much money on fucking golf? Now, as you have heard throughout this show and previous shows, I am in fact very much in favor of immigrants. I like immigrants. My father-in-law is an immigrant. I think, the idea of bringing in and making a global community is just a spectacular idea. Conversely, I don't quite get this thing that happened at Valley High School in Des Moines during a state tournament basketball game. The problem is, allegedly, that the students from Valley High School wore a lot of red, white, and blue shirts, shorts. They carried American flags with them. And the problem was they were playing Des Moines North, which is a school that has a high immigrant count. The problem is, allegedly, that the school with the immigrants took offense to the people saying, look, we have American stuff. If I'm picky, we are in America. We have freedom of speech. They're allowed to dress like that if they want to. I am going to flip it, however, and say, the guy wearing the boxer shorts, and I can tell he's wearing boxer shorts that are done up like the American flag, how exactly is that supposed to be respectful of the flag? Seriously, think about that, because I don't get it. Stupid tech news, because it's going to happen sometimes. General David Perkins, commander of the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, posted a speech on YouTube last Monday. In the speech, he announced that a $200 quadcopter, which is a toy drone, was shot down by a $3.4 million Patriot missile. I feel so much safer knowing that we can stop the $200 drones by shooting $3.4 million missiles at them. Did you know that Meals on Wheels could have been funded for 2 years by half of this missile? But we shot down the $200 drone. I feel safer now. Unusual board game news, because it came up this week, from the game Monopoly, which I think everyone has at least tried to play at some point. I don't know that I ever finished a game. I usually get, about 2 or 3 days in and get really bored with it. Yeah, that game. They're about to make a major change to the game where 3 of the kind of iconic tokens that you use to move around the board, they're going to be gone. The boot, the wheelbarrow, and the thimble are going to be gone. They're going to be replaced with a rubber duck, a penguin, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Because, come on, the T-Rex is going to make the game infinitely more exciting. Not the game itself where you move around the board, but the pre-game fight between the 2 kids who want to be the T-Rex at the same time. That's going to make Monopoly much more exciting. You'll be able to sell tickets. Speaking of things we shouldn't do to kids, this past week, my daughter came home from school, 3rd grade. Not one of my older kids, the youngest kid, 3rd grade. Came home with an orange card given to her by one of her friends. Her friend said that her dad told her she had to pass these out to all of her friends because it's very important. The card reads, "The wages of sin is death." And on the back of the card, it's, "Hey, come to our church because Jesus loves you, etc., etc." But the wages of sin is death. And you're giving this to 3rd graders? Seriously, that's a bit heavy for a 3rd grader, isn't it? Of course, this is the same group that is having trouble with the Beauty and the Beast movie because one of the characters is gay. All right, let's put this in perspective. You're worried about a fictional character who is gay, doesn't have gay sex in the movie, but the character is gay. Who cares if the character is gay? That I don't have any problem with. What I do have a problem with Beauty and the Beast isn't there a little bit of an implication that Emma Watson is going to perform bestiality at some point in this movie? Isn't that a bit of a bigger deal? Do you agree? Disagree? Do you have any other comments you'd like to make about the show? Go ahead and drop me a note, rob@thefwotshow.com, or find the show on Facebook or Twitter. If you need links, go to the website, thefwotshow.com. Click the links, like the show, follow it on Twitter, pass it around to your friends because there's stuff that you learned in this show whether you want to admit it or not. If nothing else, you can listen to the awesome theme song in the background. That's still Jesus Jones, and I still love them. They're a great band. New album coming out soon. More details as they become available. So until next time, I would honestly like you to think before you go outside and think, am I safe? And the answer is no, you're not. So be careful out there. It's getting worse.